and welcome to Forward, Pierre Corneille's show about arts. He's an acclaimed British conductor and Tony Award winner. My guest in this episode is Christopher Austin, the lead composer, music supervisor and conductor for Birmingham's Royal Ballet's Black Sabbath. Welcome, Christopher. Thanks a million for being with us today. So you've worked as an orchestrator and a conductor for television and for cinema. So how does it feel to be involved in a film festival?
It's great, actually, especially because often working as a musician, it's quite a solitary occupation. Yeah. And one of the beautiful things about this festival is being to meet so many colleagues from other aspects of other creative colleagues, yeah. And as well as seeing so many films. It's now we're on the 5th day, and it's exhausting, but in a good way.
Yeah, right. So for more exhausting things, here's the first question. You'll be asked questions from students, okay. And that's the first one. That's from Lenny, who studies editing.
You have orchestrated a stage adaptation of An American in Paris, which debuted in 2014 in Paris. Last month, you were the music director for the Joséphine Baker Gala at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées. And you speak French fluently. What is your connection with France?
A colleague of mine, a French Basque composer called Ramon Lezcano, described me once as francophilo mex. And I don't know why. It's sometimes you feel you can feel at home in a country and in a culture other than the one you're born into. And that's always been the case for me and France. I don't know why. The first time I visited France, I was 13 on a school trip.
Yeah, well, you studied French at school.
I studied French at school until I was 16. I regret not taking it at A level, but I've kind of kept up the interest, I suppose. Now there isn't a day, when I'm at home in the UK, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't address the French language. Yeah. I listen to the news in French. I watch, courtesy of my VPN. Are we allowed to talk about those things? I'll watch French TV series. I mean, it's really good for keeping the mind moving in that way, because I mean, the brain, like any other muscle, needs to exercise and so on. But it's just. I've been asked this before, including this week at This Is England, and I've never really analysed it. But it's like deep friendships when they occur.
I know what you mean.
There must be something inside one person, and then you meet the other person. It's I've said this many times this week. It's the beautiful famous quote of Montaigne's about friendship and his friendship with Etienne de la Boétie, parce que c'était lui, parce que c'était moi. And I feel that kind of connection. So whenever I've been lucky enough to work in France, it's always been the greatest pleasure.
So you've purposefully tried to work in France?
I haven't pursued it in the sense. I'm really bad at being ambitious. I'm not an ambitious person in that sense. But the first time I worked here, I was on tour with the Divine Comedy. Yeah. And because my friend Joby Talbot was the arranger for Neil Hannon at the time, and Neil decided he wanted to tour with the orchestra that made a short album about love, which was my orchestra at the time, an orchestra called the Brunel Ensemble. And we did a tour throughout France in 1995, finishing with 2 dates at La Cigale in Paris. And then I came back next to work in 2008 with Carolyn Carlson, the amazing American choreographer who's lived here forever. And then the ballet I conducted for Carolyn, which is called
Yes,
I've conducted that here.
So you worked in France on many occasions.
And then American in Paris, and then the blah 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 blah. So I'm a lucky person to be able to have had these professional, but it's more than professional. It's a treat.
Yeah. Well, you've got other aspects in your personality, which leads us to a question from Enzo.
You are an acclaimed conductor of contemporary music. How did you end up conducting and orchestrating music for cinema and television?
I mean, you're a trained conductor. You end up.
I'm not a trained conductor, actually.
Are you not?
No, I've conducted since I was at school. I first conducted when I was 14,
Right.
and I carried on through university. And I mean, my professional training at university and music college is as a composer, but I've always conducted, which I'm grateful for, because that's an antidote to the loneliness of being at your desk and writing.
Music,
But I became a conductor of contemporary, la musique contemporaine savante, because being myself a composer, and I've always loved conducting new music. It's another way of being creative, actually, to engage with the music of now, and I think it's as performing artists, we have an obligation to support our colleagues and to present the work of our own time.
Yeah. And so, how was the link with cinema and television made? Because it's a totally different business. I mean,
it is. When I had my orchestra in Bristol called the Brunel Ensemble, one concert was attended by a media composer called Roger Bolton. This is in the mid-1990s, the last century. And he spoke to me afterwards. We became friends. And then about a month after I'd first met Roger, at the time he was the busiest media composer in the UK. I mean, extraordinarily busy. And he got an offer of a film. And he just called me up and said, "Oh, Chris, I need a conductor and an orchestrator for this movie. Do you want to do it?" And of course, the automatic freelance reply is yes. And so I did that, and that began my life doing things other than conducting contemporary classical music and so
because,
on.
I mean, I suppose it's a really different kind of job and creative process, because, I mean, you were complaining about being on your own, and you need to work with other people, and at the same time you're not working with musicians immediately. It's not a live performance, so I don't know. It's very intriguing. It probably is. Do you consider that really different from writing, composing music for live performances? Or?
No, I don't actually. And that's part. I've never. I know that there are these within being a musician, that I have various areas of activity.
Right.
But to me, they're all part of. I mean, I don't have a kind of. Somebody said, "Oh, do you think there's a kind of a snobbery around film music and media music?" I mean, yeah, there is with some people, but that's that's sad for them. Certainly for somebody of my generation, there's no sense of looking down on one form of music or another.
Yeah, it's actually Elena's question. She has a question in that range.
You're used to orchestrating and conducting, especially for ballet. Has your work for cinema and television changed your approach to music for live performances?
I don't know really, because I think you do what you do, and of course every experience you have enriches you in some way, even bad experiences. If something goes wrong, you learn from it, and you learn more about yourself.
Do you mean
and about
it was bad?
No, not at all. I don't actually. But I mean, I'm aware of what I think of as the faults in my work. I mean, there are things in the Black Sabbath ballet that I would do differently. But that's because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And every project has a cut-off point. You have to deliver at a certain point, and then whatever you've created goes out into the world and lives its own life.
Definitely.
And you hope it speaks to people, and also as a creative person, you hope it continues to speak back to you. But there is absolutely a continuity between the stuff I've done with media work, if you like, and the theatre scores. But that's an entirely natural process, because for me everything is organic, and I don't view these things as somehow different activities. I'm a musician. I try to do my best. Of course, I have my own sensibility, which is also combined with my own experiences. But and there's two-way traffic all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't need to be conscious of it.
Right. Well, actually, this is the last question. She has this question about this possible opposition, which may not be one. So let's go to the last question.
You are the lead composer, music supervisor, and conductor for Black Sabbath, the ballet. What do you think about the opposition between classical music and popular music?
I see no opposition.
Because we do make a difference in France. I mean, you were talking about being snobbish and stuff. So no difference for you whatsoever.
Well, sorry, I'll try and be succinct. Thank God you can edit.
You needn't be succinct if you want to. We've got time.
Do you want to ask the question again?
Well, I mean, you know, in France, sometimes people would look down on people writing music for, you know, the majority, for the masses, and rock and roll being considered as under or sub music, as opposed to classical and more noble music. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I don't. It's not that I don't accept. It's not just that I don't accept the distinction. I don't see the distinction in the sense that there's so much music that's enriched my life, and of course I'm a predominantly classically orientated musician, but there's so much music in the world.
And was Sabbath, you know, a band you would listen to as a teenager?
I haven't actively listened to Black Sabbath since I was a much younger person, because, and in fact, when I was asked to do the ballet, the first they said to me, "Do you think it's possible to create a full evening ballet based on the music of Black Sabbath?" So I had to go and do a deep dive and listen to all the stuff that I didn't know, and beyond the really famous tracks from right at the beginning of their career. Yeah. And I spent a very intense weekend on Spotify. And it was extraordinary, and I came out of it and, you know, made a phone call and said, yes, this is most definitely possible. You've got everything you need for the DNA of a dance score that will last a whole evening, without a doubt. But in terms of this, a certain kind of music savante, or if it's blah blah blah.
I mean, it's very French, you know. I personally don't agree with that.
No, but it's a weird. Maybe in Anglophone culture, it is different. But I mean, I've conducted boulez, and I've conducted for rock bands. I've conducted movie scores, and I listen to Pascal Dussapin or Duccia, you know, and I'm Ravel's biggest fan, and all of these kind of things. I have my own work, I've been told, exhibits a very francophile dimension in terms of the interest in sound. But again, you know, but my favourite composer as a teenager, and I still feel it was Rachmaninoff.
All right.
And even if I've arranged music by the White Stripes, but I could point to you things in my scores which have a debt technically to Rachmaninoff. Who knew? But I mean, we all have our hinterlands, if you like. We all have the places where we feel we've learnt things from the people who've gone before. And it's completely natural. You transmit that through your work. You carry on, and it's like this beautiful connection across the centuries when you think about it.
You mean, tradition as something which is alive, and
it is absolutely alive.
And,
yes,
you know, born by us human beings. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about the future, here's a last question from Titouan.
Hello, You have an impressive career as orchestrator and conductor for live performances, as well as for television and cinema. What are your aspirations for the future?
Well, like everyone, I'd like to keep working. I have an idea for an opera that I'd like to write.
All right.
I also have a project that I don't know who's going to help me do it, but I'm obsessed with the work of the French writer Hervé Guibert.
Right.
And
so, could you tell us more about this?
He was one of the. He's almost the founder of autofiction. Mm-hmm. He was born in 1955 and he died in 1992, if I remember rightly. He was one of the first public figures in France to announce his HIV positive status, for example. And he was also an amazing photographer, but his work is very special. And he also, when you read his diaries, which have been published, which is called The Mausoleum of Lovers, he has a very special and deep connection with music. My copy of the journals is marked up with all the really extraordinary things he says about music. And when I read his work, whether it's his fiction or whether it's his journals, it actually has the rhythm of poetry. And so somehow it speaks to me.
And it lends itself to...
Exactly. So that's something I want to do. I have an idea to make a score for the film La Passion de Jeanne d'Arc, the amazing film of Dreyer. It's the centenary of that movie in 2028. Yeah. But I've just had a project confirmed. I'm working on a David Bowie orchestral project for an orchestra in Warsaw next year. So that'll be interesting. That's another kind of zigzag turn that I wouldn't have...
Ziggy, yeah.
Oh, bravo.
Those was the Jones in us, you know.
My goodness, two for the price of one.
Yeah.
But a bit like Black Sabbath, that's not something I would have expected until the phone call came, you know.
Yeah. Okay, right. So that leads us to the end of the show. So one final question: given you're here as part of the This Is England Film Festival, which adjectives would come to mind to qualify this festival?
Openness.
Openness. All right. Well, thank you very much, Christopher, for your time, for your answers, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Guillaume.
Welcome.